to our next episode of our discussion series with Ambassador Praveen Verma on different subjects of which are in the current news. Anyway, welcome to VNN, Praveen.
Hello, Bala. Thank you once again back on VNN. First time after the India's Independence Day. Opportunity to wish happy independence to all our viewers, all our friends of India, Indo-Canadians, Indians, and everybody who feel happy on this day.
I'll start off. I think in Canada there's been big news today. The finance minister has resigned, Bill Morneau, and I think a reshuffling of cabinet has taken place with Chrystia Freeland taking over as finance minister. So what does this?
Yeah, this was expected. If you recall, in one of our discussions, I had told you that either Morneau or chief of staff has to go. Because either Trudeau goes or any one of these two go, and I had said that either of these two go, and one has gone. So that was something which was people were expecting, and what the commentators had said that Trudeau during his presentation threw Morneau under the bus, basically disowned him.
That's what is that?
Yeah. So basically, after that episode. Morneau and Trudeau have not been sort of looking together similarly or together at the same points. So this was expected. I think that was either one of these two had to go. And
but does this absolve the Prime Minister of all responsibilities now? Is he free? Not at all.
Not at all. What they have cleverly done is that they have said that he has resigned because he wants to concentrate to become the Secretary General of OECD. So that is a cover-up, which is Morneau would have accepted it as a cover-up, and this would be some political exit.
I think he considered it as a promotion, actually.
Acceptable on both sides. But this doesn't absolve Trudeau of his complicity, and that is one reason that this cover-up has been done, because if Morneau has to resign, then Trudeau also has to resign because he has also done the same.
But the parliament has been prorogued, so there won't be any discussion now.
Yeah, the one advantage with which Trudeau has been having during these pandemic days is that the government is running on a sort of a remote control. Parliament being prorogued and not being discussed, issues not being discussed. So, as it is, people are asking for his resignation. NDP has said something about it, and Conservatives are at it. And just because of our involvement and our preoccupation with the pandemic, one is not really talking very strongly of this. But let this ethics committee report come out. These things will again catch up, and by that time the pandemic issue will also quieten down.
Another report said Trudeau has taken about 71 days or 72 days as personal vacation days this year. Those are the days that he did not work at all.
Well, those are things which happen, and all, like you and me, everybody takes leave. But this time, his taking leave would be noticed because he is at the helm of the affairs. He is running the country, and in a way where Parliament is not functioning. So he has most of the powers which he has, and he has to be hands-on. So taking vacation at this time by him does not look nice when you compare with other leaders. I don't hear any of other leaders taking leave. But then leaders would have been taking leave otherwise also. But because it's pandemic and because he's under pressure, the media and the opposition finds an occasion to get at him.
And at the end of this month, of course, we'll have a new Conservative leader. I think August 21st is the election begins there.
Yeah. We'll have, but then I don't see what will, nobody of a real stature is.
No, McKay can do something better than Andrew Scheer.
Yeah. You don't know. You really don't know how the leaders become leaders, they sort of shine up better. But then till then, Trudeau has been having a free time. Once a Conservative leader comes up, then the leader himself would try keeping on pressure for this after this ethics committee. And once the whole House comes into session, I'm sure there will be some tamasha.
What about this south of the border now? Kamala Harris Kamala Devi Harris, of course, she has now been named vice presidential candidate by Joe Biden. She classifies herself as an African American, but I think in Indian media she's being portrayed as Indian origin woman and very pro India, but she is not. She has spoken against India.
Let us not take the credit away from Kamala Harris of being nominated as vice presidential candidate. She, of course, has been elected as an African American candidate, not a brown candidate. Yeah. In America, frankly speaking, you speak in terms of white and black are the African Americans. Here she's not even an African American, she is a Jamaican Indian American. But the whole point is that the moment this sort of immigrant candidature comes up, every country starts owning it.
Owning up.
Yeah, everybody has started owning her. Chennai has started owning her. Her uncles have started owning her. Schools in Montreal have started owning her. Right. And I've seen the principal of that school or some alumni of that school talking about her mother studying in that school, and mother teaching in, I think, McGill or somewhere.
McGill University.
And she is studying in a school over there. So everybody tries to be close to her. But fact remains that as far as India is concerned, because Canada is basically some proximity, as far as India is concerned, I don't think she will be a friend of India in terms of an Indo-Canadian, Indo-American. She has already opposed both 370 and CAA. Yes. She has been on record on those. And when Jaishankar, our foreign minister, didn't meet one of these delegates when he had gone there, she vociferously objected to that. So that way her position is quite clear. She is more of an African American. Her candidature is more of an African American. Biden has been looking for an African American to be because the votes there are
the wind is blowing now. Yes.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter is very hot over there, and he needed. So he's got somebody who's there, and I don't think this will break any percentage of votes between the Indo-Canadians, as it is a very small margin. But Trump supporters will be Trump supporters, and the Democrats will be Democrats, and the African American Democrats, whoever would have voted for Obama, will be Obama. I mean, the story goes now is that this Biden administration will be basically a Obama administration by proxy.
Obama number 2, yes, of course, sir.
And then the person who will be calling the shots in White House will be Kamala Harris. Yeah. So that being true, Indians should not be very happy about it, because she is working as an American, as an African American candidate, and politically her candidature is African American, and she'll function as American. She has already given a position as being very forthright in her views. She's already spoken against Indian positions on important matters, and that's where it is. So let's watch out, not to sort of jump at it.
Coming to Canada again, this Ontario Gurudwaras Committee, I think that's a Dixie Temple. They have issued a statement yesterday saying all Sikhs must vote during the referendum for a Sikh republic.
This is the campaigning part. Actually, this referendum has been organized by one organization called SFI,
Sikhs for Justice, which is banned in India.
And the Canadian government has already said that they will not be recognizing this referendum. So that way, I don't see much of a material in this.
It is just a statement.
I don't know how many votes will be cast over there, but it's something which are doing on their own, and it's a free country, as they say, freedom of speech, freedom of polling, freedom of doing whatever it is. But Canadian government, for a change, has come out that they will not be recognizing, and this also gives, in my view, an indication to our people in India that Canadian government hopefully will stop hobnobbing with the
but they don't
vote bank. With the vote bank, one would say it's a vote bank.
It's a vote bank.
It's not that you find the liberals doing it. It's the conservatives also, when they are part, they are doing it.
I think it's the Indo-Canadian community who is promoting and encouraging this vote bank politics. It wasn't. I don't think it was there before. It is the Indo-Canadians who have mastered this art,
I don't know. I mean, vote banks were there because again there is a vote bank of the Chinese community, the Indo-Canadian community, and within the Indo-Canadian community, the Sikh Canadian community is a very united community. That is the difference. The entire rest of Indo-Canadians are split up in Gujaratis and Rajasthanis and Marwadis and with different regions. Whereas the Sikh community is united and they vote and block. So any constituency which has a sizable number of Sikh community, they really go after the Sikh community. So many leaders, many of the popular leaders, even if you recall that Canadian government, the CSIS report on terrorism, and then they removed it within 24 hours. So that is the strength they have of having a unity, and of course they were the first to come over here. They have a majority. They have grown up with the Canadians, like Trudeau has grown up with many Sikh friends, it seems, which is working into his political theories. Yeah.
Coming back again to international politics, the big news was Israel, UAE signing a diplomatic. They're signing the agreement to establish diplomatic ties.
That truly is a very major step taken by these two countries, and at least here is where Trump can claim some sort of credit in sort of brokering this arrangement. This brings together UAE and Israel, number one. And number two, it sort of blocks. I mean, Israelis have agreed not to do further occupation of the West Bank and no further what you call housing and all, sort of annexing the property. So that coming over there gives the question of further annexation stop. And the two-nation theory was sort of being disputed whether Israel would be ultimately taking over the entire territory or not. But now at least the two-nation theory is once again back on its feet. It has been criticized by, of course, the Palestinians themselves.
Israelis too.
And who else have criticized? The Turks and the Iranians. Yeah. But one thing you will notice that here we have seen that there is what we are seeing a division in the Islamic Ummah, as you say, because the GCC countries are seen as being split in terms that UAE is now with Israel. None of the other GCC countries have really said anything against.
Bahrain and Oman, Bahrain, they have said good.
Bahrain and Oman will be the next two countries who will sign this agreement. Let me tell you, three have joined. First was Egypt, second was Jordan, and third is UAE. The fourth and fifth will be Bahrain and Oman, or Oman and Bahrain. That will be the line. Saudi Arabia will keep the anchor of the GCC still on and keeping at least some check on the Israelis. But then what has happened is that the axis of Turkey, Iran, and Malaysia.
Pakistan involved there again.
Pakistan, you see, the funniest part is Pakistan is stuck. It is not able to support it, it is not able to oppose it because Pakistanis cannot go against Americans. No. That is the bread and butter. Saudis are also already bullying them, asking all their money back. So Pakistanis have not said anything, mind you. Pakistanis have neither supported it, not said anything about their keeping absolutely quiet. But one thing is there that we are now seeing this camp of the Iranians, Turks, and Malaysians. Malaysians are there in a distance, joining together, and with them we've seen the Putin and Chinese getting together. So here is GCC and the Americans, and the other side you see the Turks, Iranians, or Iranians and Turks, and the Chinese and the Russians and the Malaysians joining hands together. So the Islamic world is sort of now, in terms of unity, it seems to be a bit divided on various issues.
How does India factor in this?
India, you see, India has excellent relations with UAE. India has excellent relations with Israel. So, and India has excellent relations with USA. So all the three players, India is good along with them. So for India, it's a win-win situation. India has welcomed it, and we will see greater development of all these our relations with all these three countries. Now that these differences have been gone down. Indian relationship with Israelis at sometimes we found in the Middle East. We somehow got our Middle East policies became so vibrant and so sort of interactive that that went into the back burner. But now it'll show us.
What about this now? The China issue. The China wants us to keep talking diplomatically and they're saying, "Oh, let the border stay as is," which India has said no for the time being. We'll
Obviously, I think India has made its position very clear that there is no intermediate position other than the status quo ante. That status quo has to come back. Now it has come back only in Galwan area, and the other area they are still trying to do the salami slice again. But I think at present our commitment is very much there, and we are going to stick to our position that go back to the positions which were there before March, April this year.
I was reading a report yesterday that China is apparently now funding a study on why the the Gurkhas joined the Indian Army. Did you hear the report?
I didn't hear the report, but
they're setting up some funding.
That is a historical position, and historical Gurkhas have been a part of the Indian Army. They are allowed to be in the Indian Army, and the Indian Chief of Staff, I think, is an honorary general in the Nepalese Army. Yes. We have this relation. With Nepal, we have a civilizational relationship coming through.
China can do much there.
Chinese are trying to sort of poke fingers and try to alienate our neighbors on all sides. I mean, you are talking of Nepal, you are talking of Pakistan, of course, is there right from the beginning, but now they are talking of Bhutan in terms of water and territory both. Bangladesh also by giving them money. Sri Lanka, the port, Maldives, and everywhere. The circle is being met. China's intention, I think, to the politicians in India should be very clear. Yeah. And no more Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai.
That's gone.
Our foreign policy has to be adjusted in a way that we are able to counter Chinese aggression, or at least be prepared for their any future intrusion in our policies, because Chinese, in some sense, have made it clear that they want to take up the position which the Americans are losing slowly as a major international superpower. And for that, they need to keep the neighborhood in control. Now, they need the neighborhood in control. I think they should sort of give us more money, keep Indians more happy, but their theory is something otherwise.
Do you think bullying will work? I think it won't work.
No. You see, they are used to the good old psyche which Indian politicians had. I mean, we were not aggressive, we are docile. And there have been allegations, mind you, I've only read it somewhere. This Rajiv Gandhi Foundation.
Yeah, they got a lot of money from the Chinese. They
got a lot of money. And after that, the Congress party got some money. Congress party has been a party to it. And this agreement between Congress party and the Chinese Communist Party has been signed. And it is from those days that the
trade deficit grew, yeah.
No, the intake of the coming in of the Chinese capital and the Chinese goods have sort of multiplied and sort of taken over the Indian economy. So these are theories which are floating. So it's not something which the Chinese are doing something new. They have been on this job for a long time.
And as the world news gets up, I think there's more about this now. COVID-19, they're expecting a spike again this fall.
You see, what is happening is that every country, when people have been spending out of their credit line, one would say, borrowing money and floating in for aid and letting their people at least subsist to the level. Now, ultimately, people have to go back to job. And once people go back to job, this sort of social distancing will not be that easy, and it will not be that what it has been at this stage.
In India, there's been a tremendous increase in the numbers.
No, the numbers have been on increase because of the testing has increased. Number one. Number two, if you see the number of people recovering,
that's really high.
Percentage of recoveries is going high. So if you see the active cases, the graph of active cases, like in Canada, in India is also flat. Because our population is so high, therefore the numbers are high. But then the number of active cases is flat, and number of what you call asymptomatic cases are very high.
But I think when the schools reopen, there could be some surge. I mean, that's what I think everybody's.
That is the problem here in Canada, where the schools are opening, and then there is a lot of apprehension amongst the parents. How will these students? Because children will be children, and the elementary school there will be hardly any social distancing, with the class sizes not being kept. In the intermediate level, they have got the dual system where they'll have both in class and online. So they'll be able to split the class size and cohort systems, thereby sort of doing some sort of a social distancing. What one would also see is that there has been some sort of a time lag between planning. You see, if some planning had to be done, when everybody has been saying that the class sizes have to be small. Now, it is like the schools are opening day after tomorrow. Even if the class sizes are small, teachers have to be recruited. More classes have to be built in. Schools are physical perimeter. Where do the rooms come from? So now at this stage, Tory is coming saying that he'll community centers and other facilities to use a different campus for schools. But these things were not thought of. Maybe I'm not a party to that, but in public domain, we don't see any discussion on how most classes will be accommodated if the class sizes have to be kept low. Ford, as usual, is when he sticks to something, he sticks to something. So he is stuck to this. And he's transferred the responsibility to the boards, saying that you use your reserve money and do all these things. But ultimately, the flack will come if it rebounds. So that is the problem in at least Canada about rebounding.
Anyway, thanks a lot, Praveen, for your insights into some of what's happening around the world today.
Nice talking to you once again.
Next week. Tomorrow, of course, the Supreme Court is going to give a decision on this Sushant Singh Rajput case.
Oh, Sushant Rajput has become a big thing in India. Yes.
So we'll see how
we can follow up next time.
And we'll do that. Thanks a lot, Praveen. Again. Thanks to our VNN viewers for watching this episode of our discussion series. Thank you.